I'm Steve Nordby, and this presentation is designed as a training tool for new administrators on the topic of teacher evaluation. The objectives of this presentation are that the learner will gain knowledge of the purpose of teacher evaluation, the learner will understand the process for teacher evaluations, and the learner will gain knowledge of court cases related to teacher evaluation. The primary purpose of teacher evaluation is to assess teacher effectiveness and provide guidance and direction for improvement. Teacher evaluation should serve as the springboard to the development of a purposeful plan of professional development to help the teacher develop as a professional, to help them grow and to become more effective in their instruction. Too often, it seems, teachers view the evaluation process as a gotcha. And for it to be most effective, it really shouldn't be seen that way. It should be seen as identifying areas of strengths and areas where improvement could be made, and then designing some real good, purposeful professional development to help the teacher grow. Some ideas to consider concerning evaluation. It's very important that teachers should be knowledgeable of the process for evaluation. For instance, in our district, training happens annually. Teachers should know ahead of time things like, what are the standards that I'll be judged on? What are the procedures that will be used to collect information? Who's going to be doing the evaluation? When will I be evaluated? How many times a year? How will feedback be delivered? They really need to know the process for evaluation. Teacher effectiveness can be measured in an evaluation a number of different ways. Student outcomes, whether that's district formative tests, state assessments, local common assessments, any of those are good ways to measure student outcomes and to determine teacher effectiveness. Also, effectiveness can be judged by discipline referrals, documented failure to work well with coworkers. There are a lot of ways to measure teacher effectiveness. Evaluation should, though, be used to develop a plan of improvement for areas where deficiency has been found. Schools really should have a fair and legally defensible way to evaluate their teachers, and teachers should really be in service on the process on a regular basis. One way to take a look at the evaluation process is to take a look at this diagram. It all starts with professional development on the evaluation process. Like I said, in our district, it happens yearly. Then the teacher is observed on a regular basis and provided with timely feedback from those observations. The feedback should be targeted into areas of strengths and areas of challenges where we give a target for growth for the teacher. The teacher and the administrator can then develop together a growth plan outlining areas that need improvement as observed and documented in the evaluation. Then the teacher can be given specific targeted professional development. It could come in the way of in-services, could also come in the way of coaching, could come in the way of mentoring. Professional development, though, should be targeted into those areas highlighted on the growth plan. Once the professional development happens, then we have some more observation to judge growth, and we start the process all over again. Some more thoughts to consider about evaluation. Teachers should always have the opportunities to rebut evaluations they consider to be unfair or that contain information they consider to be not accurate. If teachers are to be non-renewed, the district really must show that the teacher did not meet their duties as measured through a fair evaluation process. In general, the courts are reluctant to substitute their judgment on cases involving evaluation unless they involve procedural matters that are not fundamentally fair. So basically, courts are not likely to determine on their own whether a teacher was effective or not. They're more likely to rule on whether or not the process for determining teacher effectiveness that was documented and in place in the district, whether all of those steps in the process were followed. If they were, then more than likely courts would uphold the evaluation or the non-renewal as a result of the evaluation. Here are a couple of court cases that I found that were interesting to me involving teacher evaluation. The first one was Ratzuk versus Chicago Public Schools in 2005. In this case, a 20-year veteran teacher was reassigned to a new school where she struggled to be successful. Her evaluator implemented a remediation plan which included assistance from a mentor. The teacher was then given 90 days in this remediation plan to improve the instruction, and during that 90 days the teacher was observed several times and continued to struggle. After the 90 days she was recommended for termination due to the fact that she had not made satisfactory improvements. The courts upheld her termination because the district followed all approved procedures in accordance with state laws in her termination. So even though the teacher was a 20-year veteran with very good evaluations prior to coming to this school, the administrator in this case, her evaluator, followed all of the steps involved in the evaluation process, and the teacher just did not meet targets for growth in her professional actions. The second case, Cupps versus Youngstown City School District, was interesting to me because it was another case where schools were supported for attempting to follow the established procedures. In this case, a teacher was observed and by law was to have received feedback in 5 days. The teacher called in sick when they were supposed to be giving feedback on the 5th day after the observation, causing the school to have to give feedback on day 6. The teacher was later terminated and challenged the termination because the feedback from the observation was late. The court supported the termination because the district did attempt to follow the established procedures for the evaluation and give the feedback within 5 days. It was not the school district's fault that the teacher called in sick on that 5th day. They gave the feedback on the next day that the teacher was back in school. The last case that I took a look at concerning evaluation was Baker versus Board of Education. It's a West Virginia case. And in this case, a teacher that was conditionally licensed did not receive all of the same due process actions that teachers that might be fully licensed received. And this teacher was terminated, and since they did not go through all the same procedures that a fully licensed teacher went through, the teacher sued and challenged the termination, stating that they were due those same procedures, and the court said no, as a conditionally licensed teacher they are not due all of the same procedures that a regularly fully licensed teacher was. I hope that this presentation allowed you to gain some knowledge of the purposes for teacher evaluation, understanding the process for evaluations a little better, and gaining some knowledge of some of the court cases related to teacher evaluation.